Hello, I'm Apps Lifey and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Dehancer Pro, who reached out to me a while ago to see if he'd be interested in reviewing their product. Now, as a solo shooter, I like to keep things as simple and convenient as possible. Now for me, when I saw Dehancer, the one thing that stood out to me was their film emulation profiles. There are currently 63 film emulation profiles: motion picture, color positive, color negative, black and white, instant, exotic, and cross-processed. So I shot two short films, one with the Xt3 and one on the XH2S. I'm going to be showing you some clips and grading examples that I've been able to do with Dehancer Pro. The following clips were graded with Dehancer Pro, and these are excerpts from my film Amelia, which is coming out soon. Every first clip is graded with Kodak Ektachrome E100 on a 2383 print film. The second clip here is on a Kodak Vision 3 250D 2383 film. This third clip is on the Fuji Neopan Acros 100 2383 print film. Again, first clip, Kodak Ektachrome E100 2383 print film, which was my preferred color for this film. And here we have a slightly more experimental Kodak Kodachrome 64, again on the 2383 print film. There are other print films that I will be showing you after. Here we have the Konica Minolta VX400. Now this is kept on the linear so that you can adjust the contrast and tonality yourself. Again, first clip, Kodak Ektachrome E100 on the 2383 print film. Here I decided to use the Lomachrome Metropolis XR FujiFilm 3513 print film. Here we have the black and white Kodak Plus X-Pan, and this is on the linear print profile. Again, first clip, Kodak Ektachrome E100 2383 print film. Here I went slightly more experimental with the CineStill 800T Fuji 3513 print film. Probably one of my favorites that I've come across in experimentation was the Agfacolor Portrait XPS 160. Okay guys, so I'm just going to show you right now how I grade with Dehancer Pro. It's very super simple. All you need to do is know what camera you used and which log profile you used or picture profile, depending on whatever the settings are on the system. So let's go over and have a look. So you'll find it over here in your effects in Final Cut Pro. You're going to drag over Dehancer and then minimize that. And then here you have your input, film, film compression, expand, print, color head, film grain, halation, bloom, vignette, film breath, gate weave, monitor, which is very handy by the way. This is one of the features that I really do like, because it shows you your exposure levels on the screen, which is very handy for skin tones if you're unsure. And then you've also got like clipping indication, so if anything's clipped in your scene, thankfully here it isn't, then it will show up on the clipping indication. So, and obviously here you've got your total impact, so think of that as your opacity layer. And then one of my favorite things as well here is the export LUT. And then here you've got check profiles, so if you click on that, this will just check for any new updated cameras or profiles and stuff, and that'll just add those in extra, and it's so quick, honestly. Let's get straight into it. So what I'll do is I'll go into choose camera, because obviously I know what I've shot with and what picture profiles, etc. So Xt3, this is shot quite a while ago, and immediately it will pop on. What I'm going to do is head over to your film tab, click enable, and this will now give you these film profiles. Now the ones that I showed earlier, they're all here, so you can select them all. They're not separated into categories. They are in alphabetical order, which I kind of prefer because I like to know what I'm getting straight away. Whether they change in the future, I don't know, but yeah, so you got all different options here. My favorites are like the Kodak Ektachrome. Ekta's quite nice, Portrait is really good, the vision profiles are really nice as well. It really is down to your preference. What do you want to shoot? What do you want it to look like? I'm gonna go with what I've discovered earlier, which was the Agfacolor Portrait XPS 160. Now here it looks already quite filmic and it's quite nice. I'm going to go over to the print section. So this will be your print film, kind of like, you know, you've done your grading and stuff, and this will be the layer on top. At least that's how I think it is. I'm not too tech savvy on this kind of stuff. I just know that it's sort of similar to what I'm saying, so go along with the flow, you know. I just like what looks good. So I can either go with what I've been using recently, which was the Kodak 2383 print film. It looks very nice, so let's zoom in a bit so you can see a bit more detail. So if you see here on his face, got a really nice, let me just, I'll click off it. So as you can see, it's got like a less sort of impact on the picture, but then when you enable it, you can see you get much deeper, richer tones. Skin looks better, like in my opinion. It's all down to the look that you want to do. You can mess around with like tonal contrast, you can make it lighter if you wanted, even the color density, you can increase that, or, you know, desaturate it a little bit if that's what it's doing. Maybe it's like bleach, like a bleach bypass effect sort of. I mean, at least that's what I think it is. It could be totally wrong, but you know, that's how I process stuff in my mind. And then obviously you've got saturation and stuff. So and there is a range limiter here, so that will, I think that's basically just like within the range of analog colors, and that definitely keeps you restricted to like a sort of film. And I'm actually going to change this over to the Fuji, because now I've got a feeling that this looks a bit more 80s to me. And yeah, for me it's like this is the kind of look that I was going for in the first place. You know, I really wanted that kind of 80s look, and if I want to, I can change color temperature, so I can make it more warmer, I can make it a little bit more cooler, I think just a tad bit cooler, quite nice like that. And obviously you've got your tint compensation, so obviously the Fuji is quite green in tint, but you can push that up to a bit more red. That's totally down to you. I'm just gonna leave it off for this video here. You can actually defringe, so if you've got a lens that has a lot of fringing, you can turn that off, or well, you can try to attempt to get rid of it. I don't really have that issue from what I can see, so I'm quite happy as it is. Film compression, if you look at the shirt here, around here, you'll just see, again, that's sort of like, it's almost similar to the analog range limiter, and you know, you can just play around with like your white points, how much effect. So this is how much effect it has. Impact is basically how much effect it has on your actual picture. And then here, you know, do you want it to affect the white point less, or do you want it to affect it more? So you're really just kind of compressing down all of those white points. And then you've got tonal range. Let's see what that does. So here you can see it just sort of like just sort of mellows everything down a bit, you know, or you can like push it the other way. I actually quite like it a little bit less, so make that image pop a little bit more. Color density, again, you can turn it off, no biggie. I'll leave it off for this. Yeah, your expansion point, so make your blacks blacker, whites whiter. You know how the story goes. You can just turn that off if you're not going to use it. Print, we want to keep that because obviously that's what we want. Like, look what we're going from this to what I call sort of like pastel-y look, to a more deep, much more filmic kind of look here, which is something I'm much more happy with. And yeah, you got a very amount of options here to see what you can do. So film type as well. This is quite important. I think you can tend to be overzealous when going for film grain, because immediately you think, yeah, this looks great and stuff, but it can actually be destructive to your image. So if you see, pay close attention to his face here and the wall. Look at the noise. Okay, so this is film grain noise. And if we go over to the positive now, suddenly it's been lessened a little bit more. I actually prefer this positive style of grain because it gives it grain, but not to the point where it's like just fuzzy and messy and stuff, you know. Here you can adjust the amount, so you can have it even less if you want, so it's just very subtly. I'm going to leave it on 20 for this video, and film resolution. So this is like how much detail do you want in there. So the less you have it, the more sort of less detailed it will be. The higher it is, the higher the detail. I'm gonna leave it about 70 because I don't want to lose all that detail, because we are shooting on the Xt3 on that 6K sensor that's downscaled to 4K. So you really kind of want to keep that. Here you can mess around with shadows, highlights, and stuff. This isn't stuff that I would usually play around with too much, to be honest with you. And then the mode, you've got like analog or digital. I'm not 100% sure what the difference is, but I'll keep it on the analog setting for this, because I quite like, I'm going for what I see with my eyes and what looks good. So that's basically why I want to keep it as. The second thing here, halation effect. Now, it does do something, and I don't know if this is just because of Final Cut or I just don't have the right type of image, but if you enable it, you can see ever so slightly on his face and everything. There's just a slight change. Now, what's supposed to happen is it's supposed to be like where there's highlights, it should be like a red sort of line and stuff. And you're able to define that by going here. So even if you pump up the impact, you should be able to see more of that effect. So as you can see, like on his skin, just ever so slightly, it just changes stuff. I don't know if it's working as it should do. I don't really have the right type of image for it. So I'm just gonna leave that off because I don't like what it's doing to my image and it's not really effective. Bloom. We had a diffusion filter on this. We had the Pro Mist, so I'm not really going to enable it for the final look, but just to give you an example, look at his shirt. You can see like the highlights blooming out the head. It's actually quite a nice look if you are going for like a vintage feel. I do love like blooming highlights and stuff. This actually isn't too bad. I might consider using it for the final grade, but that's something that I would need to consider. Again, you can go into mask mode, and mask mode will show you where it's affecting the image. Also, we have a vignette which is built into the software, so that's really nice. So you can enable that and adjust it to how you want. I'm not sure if I would have it for this scene in particular, but I do have some scenes that would benefit from it. Okay, so we're going to go and have a look at film breadth and gate weave. So if I enable film breadth, we'll just go over here and let's see what that does. Now, you have to pay very close attention to around these areas, and you can see in the corners here, it ever so slightly does something to the image just to authenticate that film like experience. Now, again, this is totally down to you whether you want to have it on or not. That's something I'm just going to have to investigate a little bit more as I start to get more deeper into the film and see whether I like that effect. What you probably might want to do is, rather than applying it to every single clip, I would keep any sort of thing that affects the image, not color wise, but like effect wise and stuff. You may want to just create an adjustment layer over all of your clips, and then have Dehancer Pro on there again, just disable everything else and just enable the film breadth and gate weave so that it's consistent all the way through the film. Again, that's probably how I would do it. It's totally up to you. I'm going to leave that turned on, and then I'm going to have gate weave on as well. So let's see what gate weave does to our image, and that should ever so slightly, I don't know if you can see it too well, but just ever so slightly the image, see that it just sort of bobbed a little bit. It just moved it. It just ever so slightly changes it, and you can see it sort of floats. I don't know if that makes much sense, but it sort of floats, and again, it's more of the film experience, and I like it. I think it looks good if you want to have that sort of effect. Personally, I'm not going to have that on for this film. And here's one of my favorite features, the monitoring. So here we can tell skin tones, they're in the blue here. We kind of want it past the green. You can see here, green, we're going there, so she's quite good. He's got a bit more contrast there on his face. So what you can actually do is go to exposure, and there you can see now he's in the green. So if we look, you can actually tell that his skin is probably more now in the right place. Hers is brushing more on the sort of higher key areas. Now, again, it's totally dependent on what kind of look you want to go for. Okay, and you've also got the clipping indication there. Total impact is how much of the effect do you want on your image. I would just keep that at 100. And one of my favorite features is the export LUT option.
So that was the Dehancer Pro. As you can see in the video, there was like a tag there that says Alps Lifey. You can use that in the promo code section and that will give you 10% off. If you do purchase it, a little bit helps me out, you know, struggling filmmaker and all that. But yeah, really appreciate any kind of support you show into the channel, likes, comments, subscriptions, all that kind of stuff. Hopefully we'll have more coming up for you. I have got the XH2S Cinematic breakdown with the DP that's coming out probably next week. So yeah, stay tuned. We're really kind of like ramping up now in the filmmaking world, feature films and stuff, which is why I haven't been putting out as much content, but trust me, there is going to be more now, and it's all going to be like real kind of filmmaking and seeing the process of the journey. You know, it's been a while, it's taken some time, but now I'm kind of like finally hitting where I want to be and what I want to do. So anyway, appreciate and love all your support. As usual, I'm Alps Lifey. Peace.